Hello, friends, and welcome to From Busy to Rich, the podcast designed to inspire advisors to increase profitability and quality of life for themselves and those they serve. I'm Justin Lakin, and with me is Wes Young, your host. Wes, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm fabulous, Justin. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's Christmas time, my favorite season of the year personally, so always good during this time of year. Interestingly enough, I think for point of our conversation today is just this tends to be like one of those seasons where you're really kind of in between phases where you're starting to wrap up the year. Like our clients are wrapping things up. We just wrapped a transform learning series. We're about to launch the next one. This kind of the break in seasonality from a client planning perspective. We've done the year-end stuff. It'll be a little while before we start getting returns, and clients want to dive into some of those sequential, reoccurring type projects. There's always one-offs, of course, but it's been really fun this year because we've had such a growth from a transform attendance standpoint to start really analyzing the data as we look into launching this next one and looking at how diverse our cadre of advisors have been in attendance, and changes in or differences in length of industry, geographical location, size, client makeup, and then marrying that up with kind of what's it look like from a pre and a post attendance performance. And I was really intrigued by what you said when you were looking at it, what popped out of the universally core ingredients that came out of that were indicators for prediction of future success for somebody in transforming their business, going from the maybe non-fee to the fee-based and holistic planning, or maybe just looking at how to develop that further and refine the process. And so I want to spend some time today with you about what are those, and then how do we focus more in on those and really dial in our training program, if you will, for advisors, or what they're focusing on to get the most out of it.
Yeah, there is a great quote by Elon Musk. He says that if you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right. And so, in the right proportion. So if you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. And truly what we notice, Justin, it's kind of like if we've been looking at a lot of planning practices to purchase, it's what ingredients are missing from the kind of cake that this thing could be if we really turned it on. And we luckily have a front row seat to watch over the time thousands of advisors radically alter the quality of the cake they're making just by understanding, hey, I'm missing a few ingredients. I'm missing a few proportions are wrong. I'm missing the timing of how I'm cooking it. And so what we really are doing is teaching people how to cook a good cake, right? It's like, here's what your cake looks like now. Here's what is possible to create.
Yeah. Reminds me of an episode of the Great British Baking Show. Right? They're all trying to make something similar, but very different outcomes when it comes time to judging the results.
Oh yeah. No question.
And to your point, it comes down to the variables that went into it.
Right. And it's all of them are bakers, right? They share the same label, just like all of them are financial advisors share the same label, but what they're cooking is very different. And the level of enjoyment that they're having is very different. And so, really, here's what it comes down to. Like we say this all the time is that we come to this business in a state of starry-eyed enthusiasm, and then we tend to educate ourselves to a place of sophisticated confusion. And hopefully, and this is what the best in the world are doing, is they reach that place of mature simplicity. And what I find is as you're living this adventure of running a holistic, in our case, fee-based financial planning practice, you're really trying to find your next level of mature simplicity in several iterations all the time. It's like that Richard Koch quote where he talks about it's not the shortage of time that should bother us, but rather our tendency to use our time in low quality ways. And when you add in the right ingredients, you do reach that next level of mature simplicity. You do use your time in very high quality ways, and you do have a lot more fun in the process. There's another quote. It's a Richard Branson quote. He says, "Fun is one of the most important and underrated ingredients in any successful venture. If you're not having fun, then it's probably time to call it quits and try something else." So usually here's what we commonly hear when people end up jumping into transform. You get that group of people that no matter what, they just want to learn, they just want to get better. And so they have an ethic in them, which I think is a wonderful ethic. How do we make this better? Which is great because there's always this assumption that better's out there. Then you get the people that they are not having fun. Because the people who just want to make it better, they can be having fun, they can be making a lot of money, they can be profitable, doing good work, but they just know, man, if I'm gonna continue to become the kind of practice that the clients I'm looking for are looking for, I got to become something that I'm not yet. And I love that. I think I think being in wonder about what's possible and exploring and trying on new methodologies, new ingredients, new ways is a fabulous approach. I also think that if you find yourself today and you're like, Wes, I am not having fun. In fact, I wish I could do something else other than what I have to wake up and do. If Monday for you, Sunday night, Monday's coming is like, oh my gosh, I got to repeat this cycle again. Or if every year you're running scared, you're running fearful, and you're not excited to dive into the day, you need to change some ingredients. So multitude of personality types that we find themselves going, I just need something else. And here's really what we do. So in the kind of core ingredients we found as we go through our learning series is first and foremost, we want to empower you with a process. And everybody has a process, whether they've defined it or not, that they meet someone, they talk to them about some version of what they do. Hopefully they get to do that thing. And then maybe they have some kind of check-in later on to see if they can do more of the thing. But what we do in Transform is give them a very specific process that not only makes people want to engage with you and pay you for your advice and be excited about paying you for that advice. It also increases the assets that you're managing and the commissions that you're going to do, because that's a natural byproduct of doing good work in this business. This process, you're not guessing about what are we going to say, what pattern are we going to follow, what should we talk about in this conversation with the client. It's just there. And we have common language within our organization. So everybody knows what kind of meeting it's going to be. You and I, if I was to, say, hey, we're going to do a location phase conversation today. You're not like, well, what's that? It's like, no, I mean, I can get in there and do the introduction and let you go, or you can let me go, or we can let Cody go, because we know what that pattern should look like. And it's so true throughout the entire process with the client. The cool thing is when it just allows you to have more creative energy for when you're doing it. And it really is sticky. It's so sticky too, that it's a process that makes asking for referrals irrelevant, because we get so many. I mean, just yesterday, I shot out you guys out an email and I was like, hey, who can be on this meeting with me? Because I had a client that was like, hey, I have a friend and they need some help, and you're the guy that I know your team can help them. And I'm like, great. So they knocked on my door. That's what we want. If you could create a business where you have so many people knocking on your door saying, hey, I'd like to come in and learn more about what you do, versus you having to go knock on doors. Justin, I don't know if you've ever done that. One of my entrepreneurial ventures as a kid was I knew I wanted to make some money. And I thought, I was like 8 and I thought, what if I could go spray, because in Odessa, Texas, I don't know, they do this everywhere. Odessa, Texas, a lot of people have like spray painted on their curb their address. And I thought, man, so I went to Walmart. We bought like the stencils for it. My parents, God bless them, let me try it out on ours and kind of told me what wasn't so great. And then I went knocking on doors. I mean, just knocking on doors. And I learned a couple things. I learned, one, I don't like knocking on doors. Because people generally don't greet you warmly, especially even these days, right? And second, it's like one is what my narrative was not one they were leaning into so much. In fact, they were like, "How quickly going to get out of here?" And because I was 8, I think they even gave me some more bandwidth. Like they would have bought my popcorn or whatever it was that Boy Scouts were selling, or those kind of things. But I mean, knocking on doors is rough. We interviewed one of the guys on our show that. His job, the way they started them in the business, is to go knock on. They had to knock, I can't remember, some insane amount of doors every day in their first.
It's like 1,000 doors a month or something crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, who wants to do that? That's not fun. I guess if it's fun for you, go do that. But most of us, it's not like you ever had a knock on door job or
Oh yeah. Yeah. The funny story there is what you did, people needed, right? You know what people don't, not everybody needs is a $2,000 vacuum cleaner.
nice,
That's what I was knocking on doors trying to propose and sell. And
nice.
you might talk about rough. Maybe you carrying your stencil would get tiring, but I know it gets real tiring is carrying like a 50-pound box of vacuum cleaner parts up and down
Yeah.
a street knocking on doors.
Oh man, here's what I love about that because this gets into this another ingredient, other than having a process that makes asking for referrals irrelevant. Is are you carrying around in the marketplace with you? Because listen, if we're at the gym and because we give you a great entry point to have people they don't know they want anything you have. Um, but if you walked into the gym and you were carrying a vacuum and one, it'd be awkward, weird, but it's like a lot of people, their equivalent of answering the question of what do you do is to hold up the vacuum. I do this. I sell these. You want one? And
Yeah.
or I insurance, I investment, right? It's terrible, right? Or they give labels instead of just having that really easy. Hey, you know how a lot of times it's easy to have a lot of your money disappear to the tax system. Yeah, we help people with things like that, and then we have the rest of our narrative. But people are like, I want that. That's amazing, and I want that.
Yeah, I think I want to pause on the process just for one moment, like, because I can hear it right now just through the radio waves of future production of this, that somebody's is absolutely mentally arguing, well, I've got a process, right? Like,
Sure.
yes, absolutely. Everybody that comes to transform, they have processes. The question is, does that process best align with what you're trying to accomplish? If you're trying to be fee-based advising, like for us, coming from the insurance sale, predominantly insurance sales,
Yeah.
that process is different than the fee-based holistic planning
Yeah.
process that we do now. And,
Absolutely.
or even if you're going to the gym, if you're trying to build some muscle and the process I give you to do it is to go run marathons, right? Like you're not gonna get the same
Yeah.
result versus if I do some weight resistance training and hypertrophy.
Yeah. Well, and what's awesome, and I want people to hear this too, is because they hear us say fee based, they're like, oh, I need to put insurance in place and manage money. None of that goes away. In fact, it amplifies as a result. Like you go through this, you're going to increase fees, increase your assets that you manage, and increase the amount of product that you sell because it fits the plan. And people are going to be excited about it. They're gonna be leaning in. You're going to have way more fun, and you're not knocking on doors. They're knocking on yours. That rhymed even. Look,
Yeah.
not knocking on doors. They're knocking on yours. Remember that. Just that sticky. We're going to go with that. The other thing is like, let's say the other ingredient here is once you have someone that's been in the process, when they're a great, they are your best and highest like relational collateral that exists because they've been excited about what you do. They like talking about what you do. But here's another great component is an annual cycle of operations with people who have been your clients after a year. When we came in to the business, it was like they taught me a lot about like go get some clients, and that absolutely needed to be my focus because I didn't have any clients that were with me more than a year when I started. But you do need a process that somehow professionalizes your annual cycle of operations with the clients once they've been a client for a year. And as you know, we operate off of mid years and year ends. In fact, we just this week is like the most of the end. We've got some stragglers, but most of our year ends are done. But every time we go through mid years or year ends, the energy's focused around the same thing. We don't have 57 different kinds of meetings over the course of a month. It's like we have two, and we know what needs to be prepared. Our paraplanners, our project managers are doing that. Um, and always what comes out of that is clarity, direction, excitement, and opportunities that are there every single time, both in the mid-year and the year end. So we have very specific things that we talk about in those meetings. And certainly adding the opportunities may change to go after, but always those very specific things. And our clients get a monthly strategy summary from us. And we teach you how to do all this stuff because these are core These are like core ingredients to having a healthy, fun practice that makes a big impact, helps people increase profitability and quality of life. Um, the other thing that I look at that I see massively overlooked is the ability in these meetings that we have to create a high impact client journey. I love this idea of we wanted people to live a rich life. I don't want them to just live a rich life when they 30 years from now, when they have enough money to where work is optional. I want them to enjoy the process of getting there. So it's tuning into, hey, let's talk about what are you pursuing? What matters to you? What's a rich life? So this is all dripped in that makes the client experience so exciting and so much more fun. Um, then we get onto this place of that again is completely overlooked, cultivating peak performance teams, another critical ingredient. Because a lot of times people, it's like they throw bodies at the I need help. Well, you're a body, come in here and help. And as we mentioned in the past, like there are some things that when it comes to growth, especially when it comes to hiring people, it's like adding another gear to the bicycle. If you're a 1-speed bike, eventually you can only pedal so fast and you're maxed out and you're going to burn out. But adding another gear to the bicycle that has all of its teeth, right? That is capable of it is not just a 1x growth, it is a 10x because there's a whole bunch of stuff you're doing in that if you're a solo advisor, that is just not your highest and best use if you intend to continue to be the lead advisor. And now what we typically do, because we've never done it before, nobody's taught us how to do it, is we find a person that needs a job and we put them in that role. And it's a terrible way to grow a practice because those people are going to be missing teeth that are critical for your 10x jump versus having a process of finding and then vetting and then onboarding with a high level of success that person. And we teach you how to do that. And then once you have puzzle pieces on the team other than yourself, how do you keep that culture so focused? How do you keep it so happy to where everybody's enjoying the life that they're living? Because, I mean, a lot of people I've heard, like, well, walk me through, like, when you're talking to people about working in your organization, it's some version of, come work for me, I'll pay you, which is not very exciting, right? It's like, here's where we're going organizationally. Here's the role that you play in our win for our clients. And then here's what's going to happen as a result if we hit these numbers, if we hit this win. So getting them so excited and the type of people that are going to get excited about that adventure, they will do far more for your organizational growth than you could have ever done independently and on your own. And you're going to enjoy those people. You're going to enjoy the process, creating a culture of excellence and peak performance. And there's methodology to it. There's ingredients. This isn't like, well, you're just talented at it. No, it's like, because I've done this really poorly. I promise you that. It's figuring out what are the ingredients, what are the proportions, what's the right time to add it. Couple other things I'd add in there, and then we'll kind of talk about what the course is itself. This next to offer is unlocking planning insights that other people never see. And Justin, you can talk about this a little bit with me, but we, again, mid years and year ends, it is a very heavier like tax conversation, meaning this is where we're doing a projection of where they're going to come in all the different incomes. We've got their tax return loaded in a holistic plan from last year. We then say, hey, let's adjust these various incomes that are coming in this year. And then we say, did you do all the stuff that we put on your list that we wanted to coordinate with your CPA to get executed? And then is there anything else that is relevant to you that may need to get done before December 31st is over? And all that is, this is a blue ocean. You read the book Blue Ocean Strategy. Most people are swimming around in the red, bloody ocean where everybody's trying to feed and compete for the same thing. This is a game no one else is even playing for the most part, not with any level of excellence. So we teach you the minimal amount of tax intelligence and give you tools around that to where you're going to be better than 90% of the world at being able to create and coordinate the tax plan with the CPA. And then we give you how to go further, how to develop that. Because when you do that, all the other stuff is like take it. Yeah, please do manage my money. Please. When I know I need some products here, please put those things in place. But it's so inviting. It's kind of like when you're selling vacuums. What got you in the door sometimes was the hot plate. Like I remember literally, I met the rainbow vacuum salesman at my buddy's house. He and his wife. I was younger. He was older and married, and he's like, "We got to sit here for this 35-minute presentation of a vacuum cleaner." I'm like, "Why'd you say yes to that?" He's like, "They said we get a free hot plate." And
Yeah.
and it's and tax the tax conversations are so much more attractive than the hot plate. Now, eventually you get to the vacuum, you get to the other stuff that's like, okay, I do want that, but I only wanted it. No, but once I've seen some cool stuff that it does, and that's like if you're leading with, I'm going to manage your money or I'm going to put insurance in place for you, that you're walking around with a vacuum and saying, let me show it to you. It's like, no, give them a hot plate. Right. So,
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. People have to feel the weight of the problem that you're trying to solve before they care about the solution. When I was
yeah,
selling vacuum cleaners, I didn't approach you from, "Hey, do you want this $2,000 vacuum?"
yeah,
Like I knew I knew how I could lead a conversation at that time of, if I got you to agree that you told me your vacuum cleaner was broken and not working, that over time it was costing you money and that mine would save you money, like it was a done deal. So I focused on defining that. Like that was my setup and demonstration was, "Hey, here's X, Y, and Z," and then get them to tell me that. And they're like, "Yeah, I totally see how this $2,000 vacuum is going to
yeah,
save you money over time." So
absolutely.
but on these tax things, like even this week, how many calls have we had? Which is it just seems so interesting, but it furthers the point of how we've developed. How many calls have we had? Hey Justin, hey Wes, I just found out we're going to owe 100,000 or a couple million, even a couple $1 million in taxes this year. Our CPA has worked with us, and so here's what we've got combined. You guys take a look, and then let us know what we're not seeing, right? Like, what ideas do you have? And so it's been amazing to see, like, we're the collective go-to. Like, hey, my state attorneys came back. What are some other things that you guys are saying? Help be those curators of good ideas and really the strategic thinking arm of the team, and then making that coordination. And then when you add value, and you can add value in that, and we teach you all the narratives that we walk through with clients and how to apply those, it's amazing what kind of change that creates in the conversation. And I tell you what, when you free up $1 million in taxes from one idea that a CPA can implement, like you do other business, right? Like
Yeah.
it happens.
Zero question.
Yeah.
Zero question. Yeah, I love it. And and then there's these last two that I'll mention is profitable practice growth. Because here's the thing, you can make a lot of money and be very, very unprofitable. You can consume more than you create at a $2 million level, just like you can at $100,000 level. And so giving yourself easy guardrails that prevent you from putting yourself in unnecessary stress to where you've got margin that you can do cool stuff in the business. You got margin that you can live in the lifestyle you want without struggling or suffering. Critically important and massively overlooked. Um, it's the old car salesman joke where they said, "Hey, we are car salesmen that are deep in debt because we know they're going to be hungry." Well, listen, if you're not listening to this podcast because you're not hungry, like you want to do cool things, you want to create, you want to thrive. Um, I don't want you to also feel like you need to do it because you're broke. I want to show you how to profitably grow as you're investing in your organization and hiring great people and doing, development for your team and culture things for the team in a way that doesn't cause you to spend every single thing that's coming in the front door. And then the last thing I think, which is mission critical to all this, is vision development and execution. So having a big ambition and not one that's inherited from other people. Like I don't want to tell you the kind of cake you should make, but I want you to decide the cake. I'll give you examples and you may like the one that I show you, because also sometimes people need that. Just show me what to shoot for. And if it resonates with me, I'll do it. And then grateful condition. Okay, in light of where I've come from, ground what initiatives I'm actually going to execute right now, this next 90 days. So this isn't like that was all great and then you don't know what to implement. This is a specific actionable plan centered around three core economic drivers and an overall win. Those three drivers are always going to be AUM, FYC, and financial planning retainers. You do this. This is the recipe for cooking a great cake that's going to use your time in high quality ways, keep you out of sophisticated confusion and in that place of mature simplicity, and really help you have a whole lot more fun and a greater impact of both profitability and quality of life. Kind of how the program works is it's a comprehensive 12-month program. And the essentials to it are there are these 2 times a year we teach 11 remote sessions. So there's 2 cycles that you can go through. They're all on usually Wednesdays, and they're an hour and a half each. They're all recorded. So if you have to miss one, or even better yet, you go to the live one, but then you go back and rewatch and relearn, because that's how we learn, by renewing the mind, not just hearing it once and going and trying it and then renewing your mind and trying it again. So we have those sessions. Then we have a full day intensive workshop in Austin. So we do those 11 and then 12 if you count the intensive here in Austin. We do that twice a year. And so when you're engaged in Transform, you get access to this 2 times for the 12 months past when your start date of the classes. And the reason that's important is because if you've ever read a book and then you read that book again 6 months later, you see things you missed before. You're capable of working on things that you couldn't have worked on before because you didn't master the thing before it. So this is it's why people stay in we call it the Transform community. And they may go through every year, at least once, even if they've been through it multiple times, because they're constantly working on it. And we're always upgrading it and coming up with new ideas. We have massive things we integrated in using, video technology to record preps and things like that this year that have been massive game changers for us. Then we have our monthly alumni session. So this is like an all-scape for anybody that has ever been through Transform, where we're in every month, that community comes together on a Zoom, and we're talking about a concept, an idea that's central, that, Samuel Johnson said we need to be reminded more than we need to be instructed, that maybe you've heard before, but you stopped doing it, or you're it was on the list, you just never got to it. And then we talk about real-time actionable things. Like right now, depending on when you're listening to this, markets are super high, right? They've expanded rapidly. And one of our core tenets in our program is to talk about what's your family bank strategy? What's your standard of care on your liquidity? So if you have 50% that you want to deem variable and you have 50% you want to deem fixed, right now you're probably a little high in the variable because it's grown so rapidly. So all we need to do is scoop a little profit to put you back to your 50-50, and we can put it in all these great places that we offer, right? So it's like mutually beneficial to exercise these muscles. So we bring those what's a real-time idea right now that's going to attach to the big picture plan that your client's in. And then of course you get, year-round access to our Transform community and complete access to our toolkit and resources, because we have a bunch of cool resources for teams and working with your clients and your own personal development. So this one we're doing early bird enrollment at this moment. So the sooner the better. And then we're gonna kick this thing off the last Wednesday in January. And so the pricing for that is $4,750. And you get all these great things. So we'd love you to be a part of it. Justin, any other thoughts?
No, just depending on when you're listening to this, like I said, you can take advantage of the early bird. I'll actually include the link in the show notes, make it really easy for you to take you direct to the website. Even if you're listening to it and we're after the early bird special has expired, we highly encourage you, just go take a look, get some more information, and we'd love to have you at a future course.